This video is brought to you by the Farmer Klein YouTube channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Farming Simulator 22 Map First Impressions video. Today we're going to take a look at the Elm Rochester. But before that, this video is brought to you by Donald Smart and Tank Fooder. Thank you for being farm barons. So the Elm Rochester map can be found at the farmingsimulator.com website or the in-game downloadable content menu, and as of the 1.0 release, this map is available for all platforms. Let me read you some of the description. The feature that distinguishes it from other maps is the field structure. It also has plains like the natural elevations. Some lands have lakes and pits. In addition to the river of the map, water is now flowing from a dried up river, but in some low places, flooding is observed. The overflow of water provides a slightly more beautiful atmosphere as an image. Beginning of a large-scale estate as farmed owned is reminiscent of the birth story of a farm. When you start the game, you have two pieces of land. One is a small piece of land, and the other is a larger piece of land. In this area, you can add all your livestock farms, garages, and warehouses. It is already attached, but if you do want, you can sell them all and arrange them according to your desires. There is not much free space. It is filled with trees. There's also many fields, and the fields are big, so you can work a real farm with big equipment and big materials. Now, this is, for all intents and purposes, and you're going to see when we load in, this is an Elm Creek edit, which somewhat surprised me seeing it over on the Mod Hub, because in years past, we have believed that Giants was not going to allow edits of their current base game maps into the Mod Hub. We typically did not see any sort of edits of the other previous base game maps until the next version of the game is released. Possibly that policy has been retracted, or maybe there was never such a policy in place and it just seemed that way. Now, we are going to use the mods we typically use when we take a look at maps. That is additional field info, additional game settings, field lease, field calculator, and precision farming. I will tell you, if you load this map up in farm manager mode or start from scratch, you will find the main farm is built out exactly how you're going to see it here in new farm mode. In addition to all the buildings that are pre-placed, you also have all of your machinery in all play modes as well. The only differences in those alternate play modes is, of course, you do not own any land, and also your bank balance is a bit higher. Now, when you load in here, you do load at the start at your main starting farm that you do own. Let's go ahead and take a look at the PDA. And let's go ahead and take a look at our lands area. You'll see we start by owning farmland ID 53. That is the starting farmland itself, as well as farmland ID 5. That is a large field directly next to it. In addition to that, right across the street, we have farmland ID 7. That is going to include many farm buildings that you do appear to own, even though you do not own the actual land. To buy Field 7 or Farmland ID 7, you will need to have $390,000. This map does have all the standard crops available to us in the Farm Sim 22 available on this map. And as I said, you're going to find that this map is very, very reminiscent of Elm Creek. We have our BGA located right here, right where you're going to find it on Elm Creek. A lot of this part of the map is identical to what you're going to see on the base map. This cell point here, this lake right here, the train is pretty much exact. We also have the sawmill cell point over here, or the wood cell point over here that is on the base map. Now, other things have been significantly changed. I would say the top probably 2/3 of the map have been significantly changed over. Then all of those accessory farms in the corners, they have subsequently been removed. Let's go ahead and take a look at our farmland lease screen. This is going to show us all of the viable farmlands, how large those farmlands are, if those farmlands include any field or fields, what is included, then ultimately how much is that farmland going to cost us. Farmland on this map is fairly expensive. At least it feels fairly expensive. taking a look at our field calculator screen, this is going to show us the specific sizes of each particular field. Then we can go back and cross-reference the field number with the farmland number that is in the farmland lease screen, and then ultimately have an idea of how much any one field is going to cost to go and buy it. Let's also go ahead and take a look and see what our precision farming soil map looks like on this Elm Creek edit. As one might expect, this is the US soil map that is a part of the precision farming mod. Let's go ahead and take a look at our crop counter. We are using the base game crop counter as well. Taking a look down through our prices screen, we do indeed have the ability to sell all of our base game crops that are available to us in FS22. In addition, we do have the ability to sell our eggs, wool, and milk, as well as our silage, hay, straw, and grass. As we continue down through all of the base game production items, we once again do indeed have the ability to sell all of the base game production items as well. We also have the ability to buy bulk lime. And we also have a stone crusher pre-placed on the map. Now, with respect to our platinum expansion production items, we do not have the ability to sell any of the platinum expansion production items. So if you do wish to do any of those, you will need to put down your own platinum expansion production item sell point. But just be rest assured, if you are playing with pumps and hoses, you will be able to sell your separated manure. Taking a look at our vehicle overview, we do have all of our vehicles owned. None of them are leased, and they are all very well maintained. In addition, we do not own any animals at the start. We do have contracts available. This map does not have any production chains owned at the start. We do have 10 production chains pre-placed, just none of them are owned. And we do not have any collectibles. Let's go ahead and take a look at our starting fleet. We start out with the John Deere 4755, John Deere 7810, and the Massey Ferguson 3670. Those tractors look familiar. They are the base game Elm Creek vehicles. Dare I say we're going to have base game Elm Creek starting machinery. We have the Topliner 4090H harvester that is paired up with the 4090H grain header and header trailer. We have our 1986 pickup truck, the Welger DK115 trailer. We also have the Rabe EG39 cultivator, the Nordstein HK25 NS3030 seeder, as well as a pair of 750 kilogram front weights. As far as mods and DLCs goes, this map does not have any custom mods or vehicles. Should I say implements or vehicles that are included with the map. And the main farm itself. We have our farmhouse with our sleep trigger. And everything here on the farm can be sold within the walls. The walls are permanent. We cannot get rid of the walls. We also cannot get rid of these help question marks. Although you can go into the help menu or into the settings menu and disable those if you want to get rid of them. Got a little machine shed here for implement storage for our pickup truck. We have a water fill point. Tractor and trailer. We have our base game silo. Oddly enough, our header is not on our header trailer. We have our header trailer there. We have our header and harvester under that easy shed. And then under the other easy shed, we have our two tractors, our cultivator, and our seeder. We round out the whole front farm here, our main farm here, with the weights. And then across the way, we have basically the secondary farm. Again, it appears that we own all these buildings at the start, even though we do not have ownership of the farmland itself. So we have a second farmhouse, this time a trailer. Another easy shed for implement vehicle storage. We have bale and pallet storage. We have a hayloft. We have our maintenance garage located right there. Fuel tank. We have a methane fill point, a power washer. We have a waste station. Large implement storage in there. And then we have a pair of recharging stations also located over here at the secondary farm. Now, this fence or this wall is also permanent. We cannot get rid of the wall. but we can sell everything within this area if we own the land. I did not try to sell it if we don't own the land. It acts as if it will let you sell it. We do see all the icons pop up. So I'm just going to work under the pretense that you can sell that buildings even if you do not own the land. You're just not going to be able to pre-place anything else. Let's go ahead and get a little bit of altitude and we'll take a look around the map itself. I mentioned this map has 10 productions built in. They are the BGA, bakery, carpentry, cereal, dairy, oil mill, grape mill, spinnery, grain mill, and sawmill. So with respect to production being built in or areas set aside for such, we are going to be giving the map a full point. So coming down here to the south center of the map, we have one of the base Elm Creek grain sell points located right here, right next to the little lake that was there. A lot of this road structure existed on Elm Creek, and that leads up over here to a carpentry. This was one of the non-NPC farms that later Giants allowed you to sell the buildings off of. Coming up here to a train transfer station and storage silo. And then the sell point, Goldcrest Valley, is the train sell point. We have our grape processing facility. Right past that, we have our stone crusher. And then we have our oil mill. Across the street, we have then the biogas plant. Very, very reminiscent of the Elm Creek BGA. We have the 2 3-sided bunkers. We have the large 2 digesters there. We have a dump point for our slurry. And then we have our digestate fill point around the back. And then really we start to diversify from Elm Creek at this point on the northern part of the map. This is all now fields. Now this could be classified as a secondary farm location. Did go in here earlier and buy all the land. And that's what I thought. So this is not on buyable land. It would be nice to have had this on buyable land. It could have been a nice alternate farm location up here on the hillside. We have our animal dealer with our bale sell point. Our animal dealer trigger there. Some more NPC deco farms set up there. We have our spinnery. Then this would have been the general area where we had the cave. We have our grain mill. And we have all fields located over there in the northwest corner. Now, where we would have had the farmer's market on Elm Creek, we have our sawmill. That is directly below. Then we had the animal dealer located approximately right there. We have our grocery sell point. We have our gas station. We have our dairy. We have our cereal factory. We have another train transfer point and silo. Now in Elm Creek, this took wood chips. We'll have to see what this takes during the drive around. Then, of course, we had another farm down here as well on Elm Creek. And we'll make our way over here to our vehicle dealer. Nice little town set up. Off to the side here, we have our starting farm and that secondary farm area I mentioned. And we have our vehicle dealer. Down here at the vehicle dealer, we do have our dealer trigger, which seems to be getting confused with this darn help toggle. If you're a player that likes to use the dealer trigger, you may have some difficulty there. I want to go and disable the help information just to see if that does allow us to use the dealer trigger. We do have our dealer maintenance trigger located right there. Let me go ahead and get rid of these question marks. And with the question marks now removed, yes, that does indeed work. So not exactly the best placement of that dealer trigger and or question mark. But what you can do is you come up here into general settings, and what we want to turn off is info trigger off and on. You see with it on, we have our question mark. You just go here, toggle it off, question mark now removed. So we have a very large area for our vehicles and implements to spawn in at, which is good to see. We've got a modest area here for our vehicles to exit. Do these have collisions? They do indeed. All right, so you'll just have to be narrower than those flags. Well, let's head on out. As far as our scoring goes, we're going to be giving the map a full point also with respect to the ability to sell our base game crops, animal outputs, and production points. We're going to be giving the map a full point as well for being able to customize the starting farms. We can indeed, 100% if we own the land, sell all the buildings on both of those starting farms. The only exceptions, we cannot get rid of the stone wall, which can be a hindrance, again, if you are wanting to play with large machinery. Now, what's odd is the description mentions fields and large fields, or larger fields and larger machinery, but the two farm areas really aren't that open to larger machinery based on the fact that they've got that whole area walled in. So we had our grocery sell point there. Just want to see if we have any way out the back here. We do not. It's all fenced in. So one way in, one way out. I'm going to turn right here and make my way up to the sawmill. But something else that struck me as a little odd is the road markings. They're all white, and we have both a center dash line and two solid lines, which really seems to confuse me a little bit. So I feel this is intended to be a U.S. based map, but the roads, the painting, the other road markers really aren't doing that justice. So here we have our sawmill. So we have our wood dump point, or log dump point, or wood cell trigger. We have our interactive trigger, and we have our pallet spawn point there. Around the back, we're going to have our wood chip point. I'd like to know your all's thoughts with respect to this map being an Elm Creek edit, and if you can recall any other time that either an FS22 or an FS19 when we have had either a clear Elm Creek edit, a clear Hope Bay Laroon edit, or when we've had, for example, in 19, let's turn around here. In 19, when we may have had a clear Ravenport edit, or Erlengrot, or Felsburn. We've seen plenty of maps where they've used the base map, but really they are very diverse. Now here we have the road painting that I would typically expect to see here, with white exterior lines and yellow center lines. Been nice to have seen this road down on all the other road portions as well. So here we have our flour mill. So our pallet spawn point, our interactive icon, and our grain dump point. Here on this overlook. Hey, well, this would have been an interesting point up there to have had a farm as opposed to a factory. Buildings where appropriate are indeed using the new texturing technique. These are all structures straight out of Elm Creek and or the base map cell points and production points. Here we have our spinnery, dump point, pallet spawn point, and interactive icon around the front. Another kind of deco NPC farm. It would have been nice if all of those were buyable areas that again we could sell. Just like this one that we're coming up to. I was hoping that these would connect, but they do not. Let me just putter around here to our animal dealer. So we have our animal dealer trigger here. We would have to place down an animal husbandry area before we could demo the use of that. Then we have our animal dealer sell point, typically our bale, straw oil, silage, hay, grass sell point there. Now let's wander down to the BGA. Now, I still think Elm Creek is one of the best farm sim developed maps from Giants to date. Silver Run Forest was very nice. I wish it had more agriculture. It was a little less forestry focused for my tastes. Really looking forward to Zelonka, the upcoming premium expansion. Hoping that is going to have a lot of the Elm Creek, a lot of the Silver Run Forest style enhancements, visual enhancements, and then of course have more agricultural farmland. So we have our dump point for our slurry. We have our 2 large digesters for our silage and manure. 2 large 3-sided bunkers. On the back, we're going to have our digestate point right here. We have a electrical recharging station. Oh, hold on. Did not notice this was a drive-through road here. Okay. I think anyone that spent some time on Elm Creek is going to really recognize this area coming up. So we would have had our dealership right there. A large field right across from the dealership. Then right here along the edge of the map, we have our oil mill. So we have our dump point, interactive point, and pallet spawn point. We have our stone crusher. We have our grape processing factory right there. As I mentioned earlier, we have then our transfer silo to take products in and out of the train storage and deliver them and fill the train. We have our rent train trigger right there. That's a little outbuilding. We should have a lime fill point here on the other side. Yep, there it is. I'll make our way over to our carpentry. It is located right there. So we have our interactive point to front door, pallet spawn point around the back, dump point over here with cell trigger. This was that little road that led down and around the lake. We have our grain stall point down here. Then, unlike the map for which this has been created from, there is no longer a road runs along the south of the map over to the east. We are going to have to make our way beyond the starting farms, over the railroad tracks. Then we'll hit a few more sell points and production points down here that we missed last time we were through here. We have our fuel point right here. Bowling alley sell point. Look it over here to our right. We have our dairy. Dump point, pallet point, interactive point is going to be around the front. We have our cereal factory. Dump point, pallet point, interactive point there. Making our way around. Here we have our farmers market. Got a sell point around the back for grain and products. And then we have the other train transfer station, which is directly south of us at this point. So our last scoring metric with respect to player and interactive areas being clearly marked. I'm going to go ahead and give the map a full point there as well. So here we have the train transfer station on the the western side of the map. Our grain dump point, we have our trailer fill point back there. And then of course our ability to transfer the product to and from the train on the tracks. That's going to give the map a score of 5 out of 5. Now, when FS22 first came out, Elm Creek itself did not even merit the score 5 out of 5. I did take off a little bit of points because the NPC farms, we could buy the land, but we couldn't get rid of those farms. So later that was updated. I never went back and did a re-scoring of Elm Creek per se, but later you were able to sell those buildings all wholesale. But at any rate, you could do that, so then you can make use of those areas and build your own. So here again, we do have a wood cell trigger for a dump point and our wood cell icon there. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below with respect to this map being one on the Mod Hub and being very, very clearly an Elm Creek edit, because so many of these things are in the exact same spot as Elm Creek themselves, which it's fine. Lots of maps are technically Elm Creek or their own edits because they're using those maps as the base map. Just this one leaves a lot still in place. Not a bad thing. That's not a bad comment at all. Just seeking what you all think with respect to have we seen this before with respect to this type of an edit coming to the Giants Mod Hub. Sadly, I didn't get a chance to take a look at this map before Giants left for the day, so I haven't been able to ask them or solicit any feedback as to if there ever was such a policy or not. If I do ever hear back, I will update it in the comments below.